Welcome to the Calm Analysts channel. I'm Boris Tezinghausen. It's August 2nd. Here are the main news stories at this moment. Today, Ukraine celebrates Air Force Day. We honor those who protect our skies, who repel missile and drone attacks, who carry out combat missions and bring Ukraine closer to victory. Eternal glory to those who gave their lives defending Ukraine and our skies. Glory to the Air Force of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. And let's start with some good news. In Russia, the 10th Wildberries warehouse has already burned down, this time in the Samara region. It is located in the village of Novosemeykino, which is 25 kilometers from Samara. The brand new complex was opened only in May 2025 and is one of the newest distribution centers of the company. Just look at the scale. I'll show you a video now.
Здесь стою, мне жарко просто. А вот градусов 40 на улице. Просто весь.
For it to be expanded further to 180,000 square meters in the near future, but given the total destruction we are witnessing right now, I think it is quite obvious that such an expansion is simply not going to happen anymore. This is one of the key logistics hubs for Wildberries in the Volga region, playing a crucial role in distributing goods between the European part of Russia and the eastern regions. Or rather, it used to. Everything in Russia will keep burning until the war ends. I think no one has any doubts left that all the warehouses will be burned down. I think it's absolutely obvious to everyone. By the way, the sellers, there's a new wave. They've started recording videos again. What on earth is going on? When will this all end? So, the sellers have started confronting Wildberries, like, why did you sell goods for the war? This section, everything for the special military operation. Why drones? Why coils? Why all of this military goods? But you're asking the wrong people, Russian sellers. Ask the bald scum why he started this war in the first place and when he plans to end it. And it also turned out that strikes on logistics hubs are very painful for the Russian economy, the military budget, and for Russians themselves. See how unexpectedly it all happened. And after all, there are still many key nodes in Russia, strikes on which would be a real shock. It's not just warehouses, for example, but also data centers and cloud infrastructure that support the operation of banks, marketplaces, and digital services. And how resilient is the Russian energy sector, who knows? All of this can be tested. I think it will be tested soon, especially when Ukrainian ballistic missiles start flying. By the way, friends, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It's important. We are fighting against Putin's propaganda. Together, it will be much easier to do this. And for those who subscribe to the channel, their hair becomes soft and silky. Don't forget. So subscribe right now, don't put it off. But that's not all. Wildberries is just the appetizer. Today, our Ukrainian drones also visited the Saratov region. There they struck the Engels airfield and the Saratov oil refinery. Engels is home to one of the main bases of Russian long-range aviation. It is from there that planes regularly take off to launch cruise missile strikes on Ukraine. Locals heard several dozen explosions in the area of the airfield. Soon, there will be information about the damaged aircraft, and at Engels, Tu-95MS and Tu-160 missile carriers are based. Here's an important point. Tu-95MS are no longer produced in Russia at all. That is, as far as I know, production stopped there in 1992. Only aircraft inherited from the Soviet era remain in service. In general, the entire backbone of Russia's long-range aviation fleet consists of aircraft that the Russian Federation inherited from the USSR. Therefore, every damaged or destroyed strategic bomber is an extremely sensitive loss, one that the Russian Federation simply cannot replace. Just think about it. In a quarter of a century under Putin's rule, who, according to some Russians, supposedly lifted Russia off its knees, they still haven't managed to create their own aircraft. They're parasitizing on the remnants of Soviet technology. And by the way, that's how it is with all their weapons. But Engels is not the whole story yet. The Saratov oil refinery of Rosneft, one of the largest oil refineries in the Volga region, is also on fire. It has a capacity of 7 million tons of oil per year. This is very serious. But even that's not all. Kaluga region got hit too, just so it wouldn't feel left out. The Lyudinovskaya oil depot, located in the settlement of Lyudinovo, caught fire after a visit from our drones. It's a major regional facility for storing and distributing fuels and lubricants. It's designed to store tens of thousands of cubic meters of fuel. But even that's not all. Today, drones also struck another refinery, Bashneft UMPZ. That's the Ufa oil refinery. The head of Bashkortostan, this chatterbox who comes up with a new story every time about why there was a bang, smoke, and who and how set fire to the refinery. So, the head of Bashkortostan, Radi Kabirov, reported that all the drones were shot down. He wrote that 25 drones were flying. All of them were shot down, but now pay attention here. One drone, just one, was destroyed over the industrial zone, and its debris fell, causing a small fire in the industrial area. Let's take a look at the video to see what this small fire in the industrial zone actually looks like.
Все, вот это точно там взрыв. На НПЗ что-то горит. Причем сильно. Слышите?
Oh. So it turns out that Radi Kabirov once again lied to the local residents who can see the refinery burning from their windows without his commentary and are filming everything themselves. And thanks to them for sending in this footage. Interestingly, yesterday another facility was hit as well. Right next door to this refinery, there's another oil processing plant, Bashneft Ufaneftechim. So it's pretty concentrated. Yesterday they hit one, today another, and there are 3 of them there. So as they say, something for the housewives to take note of. The company Bashneft operates 3 major oil refineries there in the northern part. They are actually located right next to each other. Bashneft Ufaneftechim, Bashneft Novoil, and Bashneft UNPZ. 2 of them have already been hit, and the 3rd is next in line. They form a powerful complex, one of the largest oil refining clusters in Russia. Its total capacity is 23.5 million tons of raw materials per year. And right now, it's being destroyed by our drones. Ukraine is not just refusing to surrender. Ukraine is burning down the main hubs of the Russian economy on Russian territory. Logistics hubs, oil refineries, ports. In general, Ukraine and Ukrainians are performing a true feat. And in every episode, we have an important fundraiser for the defense forces of Ukraine. Today, we are continuing to raise funds for EcoFlow charging stations for the favorite drone systems battalion. This is the 107th Brigade. They are carrying out combat missions in the Pokrovsk direction near Dobropilya, one of the hottest areas. And the soldiers have recorded a video message for you, friends. Please take a look.
Ми, військовослужбовці 2-го батальйону безпілотних систем «Фаворит», виконуємо бойові завдання по знищенню ворога на Покровському напрямку та в районі Добропілля. Звертаємось до Бориса Тисенгаузена та спільноти каналу Бориса з проханням допомогти закрити збір на придбання зарядних станцій для АКБ ударних дронів. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Let's help our warriors. The link to the fundraiser is in the description of this video. There are mono, private, and PayPal options for those who want to help from abroad, and a QR code in the corner for those watching me on other channels. I thank you so much in every episode for helping our warriors. By the way, you can find the page of the Favorit Unmanned Systems Battalion of the 107th Brigade on Instagram and see a lot of footage there of the soldiers relentlessly striking the occupiers. These shots can't be posted here, but you can find them there. In general, they're doing an amazing job. The link to the fundraiser is in the description of this video. An explosion occurred in Moscow during the celebration of the anniversary of one of Putin's most valuable generals. There are dead and wounded. The target of the attack was General Alexander Chaiko, commander of the aerospace forces of the Russian Federation, who was celebrating his anniversary on the veranda of the Baltsi Rossi restaurant in central Moscow. On July 27th, Chaiko turned 55 years old. The general decided to combine the celebration of his anniversary with his recent appointment as Commander-in-Chief of the Aerospace Forces of the Russian Federation. Let me remind you, he was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Aerospace Forces in May of this year. On that day, the restaurant was closed to regular customers and was entirely at Chaiko and his guests' disposal. He plays a significant role in the war with Ukraine. That is, before his appointment as Commander-in-Chief, at the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Chaiko commanded the troops of the Eastern Military District. He is directly associated with the actions of Russian troops during the offensive in the Kiev region, including the events in Bucha, Borodyanka, and Irpin. After the failure of the first stage of the invasion, he was removed from his post and then appointed as the commander-in-chief of the aerospace forces. This was not so much due to his experience with aviation, he actually had little to do with it, but rather because the Kremlin needed an experienced staff commander capable of coordinating massive combined strikes using aircraft, missiles, and drones against Ukraine. He is the one directly responsible for the air attacks on Ukraine and the increase in civilian casualties. In short, he has the blood of hundreds of innocent Ukrainians on his hands, people who died from Russian missiles and drones. At this closed banquet, representatives of the so-called Russian elite gathered, generals from the Ministry of Defense, FSB officers, deputies, and officials. A huge number of luxury cars were parked there, including some with special black military license plates. According to the official version, Chaiko survived, but acquaintances and relatives refused to comment on his condition after the explosion in central Moscow, and today information emerged that several more people have died in the hospital. Let me remind you that several Russian generals have already gone to hell for their war crimes. For example, General Kirillov, who was killed by a scooter, or General Moskalik, who was blown up, and not just them. I think that right now the entire military leadership of the Russian Federation is very tense and asking themselves, who's next? Well, we're waiting for more detailed information. But there are those who weren't as lucky as Chaiko. Ukrainian defenders eliminated the 34-year-old occupier Ivan Asev, a world champion in tank biathlon and record holder, who in 2019 accelerated a tank in Russia to 84 kilometers per hour. Why he did it, no one knows, but he did. A real hero indeed. You know what's important in this story? That is, Russian propaganda made him into a legend, created an image of an iron and invincible hero out of this Asev, even calling him unkillable. He survived the destruction of his tank, suffered severe injuries, spent almost a year in treatment, and then returned to the war again. They practically turned him into some kind of superhero, an Iron Man. But what was bound to happen, happened. The occupier was blown to atoms. Turned out he was very much killable. Asev was buried a couple of days ago in Kayakta, that's in Buryatia, and he also had a partner. Together they set a world record in this tank biathlon. The partner's name was Bato Tsilipov. Was, I say, because the partner was eliminated last year. So now, these two, these already finished off superheroes, will be placed on the desk of heroes. In Russia, there's this practice. The best students in school are seated at a desk that's plastered with the faces of these killed so-called heroes. And these heroes, you see, stare at these poor children from morning till night with their crazed looks. That's the kind of entertainment they have. It's called the Desk of Heroes. As for Asiv's parents, they probably didn't forget to send them a pack of dumplings and a postcard, of course. As they say, thank you for your son. By the way, do you happen to have another one? And now here's an interesting piece of news from Moscow and the Moscow region. There, without much fanfare and not making it too public, preparations are underway for missile strikes on Moscow. Just recently, cryptocurrency mining was banned in Moscow and the Moscow region. This decision by the Russian authorities is being linked to the possibility of critical power outages in Moscow as early as this winter, and so all the miners are being sent out beyond the 101st kilometer. And in the Moscow region, they even published a map of shelters for the population in case of missile strikes. All of this is being done quietly, as if to say, well, this was all planned, that soon Moscow will be hit by missiles. Don't worry, Russians. By the way, in the explanatory materials, the Ministry of Energy named the risk of electricity shortages as the main reason. And what will cause this shortage? In general, everything is going according to plan. And it's been a while since we've had a news segment about Crimea from the Crimean partisans. We're fixing that now. Let me remind you, the Crimean partisans are a partisan movement in Crimea with a wide network of people across the entire peninsula. These are not only the people who derail Russian military trains, but also those who obtain crucial information. And the media in Crimea have been ordered to ignore the critical situation there. Remember, earlier representatives of the occupation authorities used to speak out every day. There's no gasoline, but hang in there. There's no water, no electricity, but hang in there. Everything will be fine soon. So now everyone has been ordered to keep their mouths shut. They couldn't fix the situation. The situation is getting worse, and they've decided to handle it the Putin way. Just pretend nothing is happening, that there is no problem. So what happened to Crimea? It sank. Remember, Aksionov promised that the situation would improve in a couple of weeks. Let me remind you, he made that promise a month and a half ago. As a result, both Aksionov himself and the information he provided have disappeared. Now, Crimeans are traveling to Kuban for groceries if they have gas, because everything is much more expensive in Crimea. Prices are rising every day. Prices have skyrocketed. There's no fuel, many products are unavailable, there are no tourists, but there are stones falling from the sky. Exactly what they wanted. No one has any idea how to solve the problem at all. Crimea is becoming more and more of a heavy burden for Putin. The families of the military leadership and the heads of the security services have left the peninsula. Meanwhile, the occupation officials are once again saying they will monitor prices and promise not to allow prices to rise. But everything is already getting more expensive, everything is already skyrocketing. Putin doesn't even summon Crimean officials to see him anymore. Did you notice? For that staged report, like, well, you take personal control of this. Please, make sure you handle it over there. There is information that Aksionov will be dismissed after the elections in the fall, and all the Crimean problems will be pinned on him. Well, basically, it's the same as always. I think they might even end up putting him in jail. And Aksionov won't have time to escape either to the United Arab Emirates or to Turkey, where he bought property. I think they're keeping an eye on that. And here's a piece of news I just couldn't ignore. Donald Trump wants to change Graham's bill on hellish sanctions against Russia. And this could significantly delay the adoption of this bill, writes Politico. Donald, we were having a perfectly normal conversation. Why pull this trickery again? The thing is, Trump wants to add sanctions against buyers of Iranian oil as well. And if the text of the bill is substantially changed, it could require new approval between the chambers and delay its adoption. But this doesn't mean that everything will have to be done from scratch. However, every substantial amendment, and adding Iran is a substantial amendment, increases the likelihood of delays and the emergence of new political disputes. In short, the adoption of these hellish sanctions against buyers of Russian oil keeps getting postponed and postponed. And now, new options for operations against Iran have been put on Donald Trump's desk, both with and without a ground component. In general, there is still no end in sight to this situation with Iran, although right now it would be much easier for Trump to put pressure on Putin than on Iran. At the very least, these two issues could have been separated in terms of achieving some quick, definitive result. And today, US embassies in Middle Eastern countries issued new security warnings, urging American citizens to leave the region. Trump himself stated that he cancelled a planned strike on Iran, saying it would have been a very terrible, horrific strike, but he called it off. In general, it swings back and forth again, swings back and forth. Meanwhile, someone is making good money off all these fluctuations. And here, an intriguing piece of news emerges. Trump is launching a service for trading on insider information for a hefty sum. Media reports mention $100,000 a month. Subscribers will get to see the posts of the US president before anyone else, not tweets, but posts in his social network, and trade on the stock market before the information becomes public. The Democrats have already said, "Are you out of your mind? This is an extreme conflict of interest." So basically, Trump will be selling early access to his posts to certain people, and for traders, even milliseconds matter. So if you buy Trump's tweets, well, Trump's posts, and you see information before anyone else, like "I'm about to strike Iran" or "I'm calling off the strike," then of course you have an advantage. In short, Trump, as they say, is striking while the iron is hot, not even leaving the cash register. I have a feeling he's going to have problems because of all this. And today Trump published an image created by artificial intelligence in which, well, just look at this photo. Basically, Donald Trump is strolling along one of the US military bases, accompanied by an alien. I don't think there's any particularly deep meaning to look for here. To be perfectly honest with you, I really get the distinct feeling that Donald Trump is acting exactly like a little kid who just got his hands on AI image generation for the first time. It is like he is just sitting there thinking, "Ooh, wow, make me a giant Voltron robot. Oh, that is so cool. I am definitely going to post this right now, and then all the guys are going to see it." This is going to be absolutely awesome. Just you wait and see. I think that's pretty much how it goes. And as for you, friends, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And let's support our soldiers from the favorite Unmanned Systems Battalion, 107th Brigade. The link to donate is in the description of this video. Have a peaceful day, everyone, and glory to Ukraine.